as you will have seen from my Vlogmas videos, December was quite a busy month for me. I did show myself doing a lovely buddy read in the month of December, which I will talk about in just a moment. But what else did I read in December? Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week, and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where you can keep up with most of the things that I'm reading in between videos. So yes, that buddy read that I read during the month of December was 7Xs by Lucy Vine. I don't know why I forgot about this one for a moment. I think because I read it during the first week of December, and then I basically read like nothing until I was on a 10-hour flight, because December was incredibly busy. So anything I read this month on top of this book was just bonus footage, basically. But 7Xs comes out on the 25th of May. It is Lucy Vine, who is one of my favourite authors, and this one surrounds basically Esther going back and revisiting her 7Xs because she reads a magazine article that those 7Xs, one of them will be the person that you're due to end up with, and so it follows her journey. And the most amazing part about the book is that she has these two friends that she kind of includes on her journey. They're not also looking at their 7Xs, but they are included on her journey, and we see some flashbacks to when she was with those exes and how the friends slot into those exes as well, and kind of then we have modern day of her revisiting these exes, and it's just hilarious and relatable and heartfelt and wonderful and just like so open and honest as well. I absolutely loved how open and honest it was. But then I love Lucy Vine's writing. It was fabulous to buddy read this with the lovely Hayley, because we could talk about what was going on with Esther, what choices we thought she was going to make next, what we thought of the choices she'd already made, and what we thought of her friendship group as well. We laughed and we related, and it was just a really good time. So this will be linked in the description box below. Highly recommend pre-ordering this one. It's going to come to May. It's going to come to you, and you're going to have a great time because it's a fabulous book. And yeah, we couldn't wait to read it until 2023, so that's why we read it in December. And then I did read one ebook. I read another part of Escape to Darling Cove by Holly Hepburn, which, as you're watching this, will already be out in its full, beautiful 4-part bind up in the UK. So I read part 2 of this one, and so parts 2, 3 and 4 were on my TBR. I would have liked to have read them before the end of the year, but the end of the year somehow sprung up on me. Back to school now. So parts 3 and 4 are now moved to my January TBR. The bind up of this one, as I say, released in the UK on the 5th of January, which might be as you're watching this video. So again, it will be linked in the description box below. But basically, this follows Eve and Logan, who are not trapped together, but brought together in Darling Cove. Eve is a local, and this is based on the island of Ennisfarne, which is basically a sister island to Lindisfarne. It doesn't exist, but it's like Lindisfarne. It has a causeway to come across, which is cut off by the tide. So you get that like two people trapped together in a secluded what. There's a snowstorm, there's a wedding, there's drama, there's a dog. It's just a great time, and I'm excited to read parts 3 and 4 as part of my January TBR. So then moving on to some all-important audiobooks. I did manage to finish a couple of audiobooks that I had already started. So I finished listening to Bibliomaniac by Robin Innes. Went to an event with Bibliomaniac in Leighton Buzzard in the bookshop, and heard him talk about this book. I'd been to a Robin Innes event previously, and I was aware of his work, and this one is an obsessive tour of the bookshops of Britain. And so it was nice because he talks about bookshops that I've been to, he talks about bookshops that I've heard of, and he talks about the bookshop that I heard him talking. He also goes to the Harrogate International Festival, which I went to for the first time in 2022, and so it was entertaining hearing him go from that event to, did he not then go to another event, another bookshop that I'd been to? It might have been that he went from Harrogate to Leighton Buzzard, which is interesting. But yeah, he does talk about some of my favourite bookshops in here and going to the bookshop town in Scotland, Wigtown, which I have a whole video vlogging my experience going to Wigtown, so I'll leave that linked up above. But this is a non-fiction audiobook, and I enjoyed listening to this one. And then another non-fiction audiobook that I finished in the month of December that I didn't enjoy as much. I wasn't sort of in a hurry to finish it. This is Bad Sex by Nonna Willis Aronowitz. Truth, Pleasure and an Unfinished Revolution. So this was very different from what I thought it was going to be. I think I was just sort of lured in by the cover and the title. And she does discuss bad sex in and out of relationships, in and out of monogamous relationships, in and out of heterosexual relationships. And it went in a different direction than I thought it was going to. It was very much talking about a feminist revolution, which, you know, I love reading books about feminist revolutions, and I am a feminist and I like reading about feminism. And so I thought I would like this more than I did. And it just kind of, I think it went a bit too deep for me when I wanted it to be a bit more broad, and that's not the fault of the book, it's just what I was looking for based on the time. But yeah, I think I would have liked it to have covered more rather than covering things in such depth. I did find myself switching off sometimes when I was listening to it in the car, and I did finish it whilst just being at home, so again it was harder to focus on because it didn't keep my attention, because it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But I started this in October and then didn't come to finish it until the end of December. So that kind of gives you an idea of my pleasure level at this book. And then 2 audiobooks that I listened to on the aforementioned plane journey. I listened to, if it'll come up, A Very Merry Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams. I always seem to end up listening to these bromance books either as part of a readathon or as like, oh, I've got a whole day at home, so I'm going to be listening to this. And I always seem to listen to them in one big chunk. And obviously, listening to this one on a plane, I listened to this one in one big chunk. I was just sat listening, and it's nice because it is festive. And a bit like the other bromance book club novels by Lyssa Kay Adams, this one does sort of cover a book as well. The 2 main characters are reading through a book sort of similar to their situation. It's a romance book, and they kind of both enjoy it a little more than they thought they were going to enjoy it. And so that's where we have a little nugget of something. These books, now I continue reading the series because I feel like I'm invested in the series now, and they're good but they're not great, and I can never identify what it is about them that stop them from being kind of great for me. Do you know what I mean? I do like them, and if you're looking for something light-hearted, and looking for something that's a bit different from the norm, I mean, these guys reading these romance novels and talking about them and having these romantic epiphanies, it is definitely a little bit different. But there's something that stops them from being they're kind of like 3 to 4 star reads for me. And I do continue to read the series, and I have read the entire series so far, although there may be one that I missed out on kind of in the middle of last summer. But yeah, I mean, I like her writing, and I like the books, and I like the series, but they're good but not great in my opinion. And then one more non-fiction that I listened to on the plane. I didn't know that this existed, and then it kind of came into my radar, so I requested it from my library, and thankfully just before my plane journey it became available from my library, and so I listened to, I have told you this already, Stories I Don't Want to Forget to Remember by Lauren Graham. So this is kind of the follow-up to Talking as Fast as I Can, and I really enjoyed this book. It was quite short, and it just felt like I plugged in my headphones and Lauren Graham was chatting to me on my plane journey. I mean, what's not to love about that? She's always very honest when she talks. She mentions Gilmore Girls briefly. She mentions her relationship briefly. But there are other things that she talks about in this one. And I like the fact that she just tells you a story and then we move on and we talk about the next story. And it is like sitting and having a conversation with a friend. And so I do think that if you can access them, the best way to enjoy Lauren Graham's non-fiction work is on audiobook because I really enjoyed them. It kept me entertained on my plane journey. I had a little glass of Jack Daniels with her, had a little Diet Coke with her, had a little awful plain breakfast with her, and it just worked, and I really enjoyed listening to this one. And I thought that was a nice way to end my reading year. So altogether, I read 6 books in the month of December. I don't think that's bad. And I did a physical book, an ebook, and 4 audiobooks. And so that's kind of a nice balance and a good sort of reflection of my reading year in general. I didn't read anything when I was at Disney. I didn't read anything when I was doing the 3 Christmas days that I did post-Disney. And so I basically just read in that little first bit before things got so manically hectic at school I couldn't focus on reading anything on my commute. Read a bit on a plane, and then read a little bit on New Year's Eve. That's basically how my December reading went. Do let me know in comments what you read in the month of December. If you haven't already seen my January TBR and what I'm going to be reading in the month of January, that will be linked in the end screen for you. As I say, I will leave a link to the 2 books which are not out yet as I'm filming this video. One of them will be out as you're watching this video. They will be in the description box. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. As I say, let me know what you read in December. Make sure you are subscribed so that my next bookish video lands in your subscription feed, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my movie review coming your way this weekend. And I will see you with my next video. Thanks again for watching.